Imagine standing completely alone. No cars, no electricity, no birds singing, no wind moving through the trees, nothing. Just silence. Today, many people dream of escaping the noise of modern life. We imagine a peaceful forest, a quiet mountain, or an empty beach. Silence feels relaxing, but for almost all of human history, silence was never peaceful. It was terrifying. Thousands of years ago, our ancestors lived in a world where every sound carried meaning. A crack in the bushes could signal a predator. A distant howl might mean wolves were nearby. The chatter of birds often meant everything was safe. Nature was constantly speaking, and humans listened. Then something strange happened. The sounds stopped. The birds disappeared. The insects became quiet. The wind seemed to vanish. An unnatural silence spread across the land. To an ancient human, this wasn't calming. It was a warning. Long before cities existed, humans survived by reading tiny changes in nature. Every animal around them acted like an early warning system. Birds suddenly flying away, danger, monkeys screaming from the trees, a predator, deer running without an obvious reason. Something was hunting. Our ancestors didn't have security cameras or weather forecasts. Their survival depended on paying attention to every sound. Silence meant those warning signals had disappeared, and when nature stopped talking, something else might already be moving. Imagine sitting beside a small fire as darkness slowly covers the forest. Moments ago, insects were buzzing, owls were calling, leaves rustled gently in the breeze. Then, everything stops. No insects, no birds, no movement, only silence. Your heart begins to beat faster. You grip your wooden spear. Your eyes search the darkness. You don't know what is out there, but your brain is certain of one thing: something is wrong. Modern scientists believe this reaction wasn't irrational. Many predators move quietly. When a large hunter approaches, smaller animals often become silent to avoid drawing attention. Without realizing it, ancient humans learned to recognize this pattern over thousands of generations. Their brains connected silence with danger. This instinct became deeply rooted in human psychology. Even today, many people feel uncomfortable in complete silence. A silent hallway at midnight, an empty building, a forest with no sounds, a room where everything suddenly becomes quiet. It creates a strange feeling that someone or something is nearby. That feeling may be millions of years old. But predators weren't the only reason silence inspired fear. For ancient humans, silence also awakened something even more powerful: their imagination. In a world without scientific explanations, every unexplained event became a mystery, and silence created the perfect stage for those mysteries to grow. Because when the world stopped making noise, the human mind started making its own. For ancient humans, the world was alive. Every mountain had a spirit. Every river carried a soul. Every forest hid unseen forces. Without science to explain strange events, people searched for meaning in everything around them. A sudden storm wasn't just weather, it could be the anger of a god. A bolt of lightning wasn't electricity, it was a message from the sky. And silence. Silence was one of the greatest mysteries of all. Imagine a group of hunters walking through a dense forest. The birds have been singing all morning, insects buzz beneath the leaves, small animals dart through the undergrowth. The forest feels alive. Then, without warning, everything stops. Not one bird calls, not one insect hums. Even the wind seems to disappear. The hunters freeze. No one speaks. Because everyone knows this silence means something, but no one knows exactly what. Across many ancient cultures, unusual silence became linked with the unseen world. People believed invisible spirits, ancestors, or powerful beings could be nearby. When nature fell silent, they thought the ordinary world had paused to make room for something extraordinary. These beliefs spread from generation to generation through stories told around campfires. parents warned their children, if the forest suddenly becomes silent, do not wander away. Whether the danger was real or imagined didn't matter. The lesson kept children alert. It helped families survive. As time passed, these survival lessons slowly transformed into legends. Some spoke of shadow creatures that hunted without making a sound. Others believed silent places were gateways where the living and the spirit world briefly touched. In many traditions, caves became sacred not only because they offered shelter, but because of their deep, unnatural quiet. Standing inside a cave, every whisper echoed into darkness. The silence felt heavy, almost alive. Without understanding echoes or acoustics, ancient people often believed unseen beings were answering them. Night made everything even more frightening. After sunset, human vision becomes weaker, but hearing becomes far more important. Every tiny sound matters, and every missing sound matters even more. A hunter sitting beside a small fire couldn't see far into the darkness. He depended almost entirely on his ears. If the forest remained full of normal sounds, he could relax slightly, but if every sound suddenly vanished, his body prepared for danger, his breathing slowed, his muscles tightened, his heart raced. This wasn't imagination, it was survival. Modern psychologists call this hypervigilance, a state in which the brain becomes extremely alert to possible threats. Our ancestors didn't know the word, but they lived with it almost every day. Interestingly, many of these ancient fears still survive today. Think about horror movies. Directors often remove all background noise before something frightening happens. The music fades, the characters stop talking, everything becomes silent. Then, something appears. Filmmakers use silence because it triggers an ancient survival instinct that has existed inside the human brain for thousands of years. Even though we know we're safe in our living room, our brains react as if we were sitting beside a campfire surrounded by darkness. Silence still whispers the same warning it gave our ancestors. Pay attention. Something may be watching. But there was another reason silence frightened ancient humans. It forced them to face the one thing they could never escape: their own thoughts. Imagine sitting alone beside a dying fire. The flames have almost disappeared. The stars stretch endlessly across the sky. Your family is asleep. No one is speaking. The forest is silent. For the first time all day, there is nothing to distract your mind. Today we fill silence with music, podcasts, television, or the endless scroll of our phones. Ancient humans had none of these. When silence arrived, there was nowhere to escape. Only their thoughts remained. In those quiet moments, the human mind began asking difficult questions. What happens after death? Who created the stars? Why do people dream? Where do loved ones go when they die? These questions had no clear answers, so the imagination stepped in. A shadow between the trees became a spirit. A strange sound in the distance became a warning from the ancestors. A dream felt like a journey into another world. Silence gave these ideas room to grow. Many archaeologists believe that long periods of quiet observation help shape early religion, mythology, and storytelling. Sitting around a fire each evening, people shared tales that explained the unknown. Over hundreds of generations, those stories became traditions, and traditions became cultures. Silence was not just frightening, it became the birthplace of human imagination. But silence also affected the body. Modern research shows that when our surroundings suddenly become very quiet, the brain becomes more sensitive to even the smallest sound. A single twig snapping, a leaf moving, a distant footstep, all seem louder than they really are. This heightened awareness helped ancient humans survive. The people who noticed danger first were more likely to live long enough to raise children. Over thousands of years, natural selection rewarded brains that reacted quickly to unusual silence. That ancient survival system still lives inside us. Have you ever entered an empty school after hours? Walked through a quiet hospital corridor? stood alone in an abandoned building. Nothing may actually be there, yet your heart beats faster. You instinctively look over your shoulder. You become aware of every tiny sound. This isn't weakness. It's a survival program written into the human brain by countless generations of ancestors who survived because they treated silence as a warning. Ironically, the thing our ancestors feared has become something many people seek today. People travel to remote mountains. They meditate in quiet temples. They escape busy cities in search of peace. Silence, once associated with danger, is now often associated with healing. But our ancient instincts haven't completely disappeared. That is why complete silence can still feel strangely uncomfortable. In fact, some of the quietest places on Earth make visitors feel uneasy after only a short time. Not because they are haunted, but because the human brain was never designed to experience absolute silence for long. The echoes of our ancestors are still with us, hidden deep inside every heartbeat, every nervous glance into the darkness, and every moment when an unexpected silence makes us stop and listen. For thousands of years, silence meant one simple thing: be careful. It wasn't a superstition. It wasn't irrational fear. For our ancestors, silence often meant that something had changed in the environment, and noticing that change could mean the difference between life and death. Today, scientists studying animal behavior have observed something fascinating. In many ecosystems, birds, monkeys, deer, and other animals react to predators by changing their behavior. Alarm calls may echo through the forest, but in some situations, animals suddenly become quiet, freeze, or hide. For an early human paying close attention, this dramatic change in the soundscape could signal that a dangerous predator was nearby. Our ancestors didn't understand biology. They didn't need to. They only needed to survive. Generation after generation, people who recognized these subtle warnings had a better chance of staying alive. Over countless generations, the human brain became remarkably good at detecting unusual changes in its surroundings, and that ability has never completely disappeared. Even in the modern world, your brain is constantly comparing the sounds around you: the hum of a fan, traffic outside, people talking in another room, birds singing in the morning. These sounds become your brain's definition of normal, but when they suddenly stop, your attention immediately shifts. Without realizing it, you begin asking, why did everything become so quiet? This happens automatically. Long before your conscious mind begins thinking, your brain has already started searching for an explanation. It is one of humanity's oldest survival systems. This ancient instinct also explains why silence is so powerful in storytelling. Watch almost any suspense film. Just before something unexpected happens, the background music fades, the conversation stops, everything becomes still. Then, the audience leans forward, not because they know what's coming, but because their brains have learned that silence often comes before something important. Filmmakers are using a survival instinct that evolved tens of thousands of years ago. In a way, every horror movie still speaks the language of our ancestors. Yet there is another side to silence. The very thing that once frightened early humans also helped shape civilization. In moments of quiet, people reflected. They planned hunts, they remembered stories, they taught children, they imagined gods, they created myths, they watched the stars and wondered what lay beyond them. Without silence, many of humanity's greatest ideas might never have been born. The same silence that warned of danger also gave birth to curiosity. Fear and wonder have always walked together. Today, we often try to escape silence. We keep televisions running, we wear headphones, we scroll endlessly through our phones. Our world is louder than at any other point in history. Perhaps that is because silence still makes us uncomfortable. Not because we fear a lion hiding in the darkness, but because silence forces us to listen to something we often avoid: ourselves. It reminds us that beneath all the technology, all the cities, and all the noise, we are still the descendants of people who survived by listening carefully to the world around them. The forests may have become cities, The campfires may have become electric lights. The predators may no longer wait outside our homes. But the ancient mind remains, hidden inside every human being. So the next time you find yourself in a place where the world suddenly falls silent, don't be surprised if your heart beats just a little faster. That feeling is older than written history, older than civilization, older than the pyramids. It is the echo of millions of years of human survival, and perhaps silence was never truly empty. It was always trying to tell us something. If you enjoyed uncovering the hidden history behind everyday human behavior, don't forget to subscribe. There are countless forgotten stories from our ancestors still waiting to be discovered, and we'll explore them together in the next episode.